Guest is Ben Colarossi, an aspiring author and storyteller whose life journey is a testament to resilience, healing, and hope. Through a raw honesty and deep compassion, Ben shares not a story of survival, but a message of strength, reminding us no matter how heavy life becomes, the human spirit can always rise. We're excited to welcome Ben Colarossi, the author of the book titled 360 Pounds of Tears, to the Neil Haley Show. How are you, Ben? Thanks for stopping by.
I'm good. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it very much.
When, first of all, thinking about this journey, did you ever think you were going to write a book? I always ask that question because that kind of breaks the ice in certain aspects.
That's a great question. No, I never thought I'd write a book. No, never.
Okay, so let's go to it. Let's start at the beginning. What first moved you to start 360 Pounds of Tears? And when did you realize this is becoming something bigger than just personal writing?
So it began years ago, probably 15 years ago. I took an English class and I wrote this poem called 360 Pounds of Tears. And obviously I lost the poem, but basically it was about the shame of being fat. And one of the biggest things was there I was getting my little chocolate morsels of delight through the corner of my eye. I see these two little girls approaching and I say, please God, please God, please guys. And out of the corner of their mouth, they say, look how fat that man is. And then also I was walking through Santa Monica and I heard a bunch of kids coming with their car and go, please God. And they yelled, hey, fatso. So basically what it was just the pain of being heavy and the pain of being fat and how people look at you. And then I let that go for a while. But the catalyst of writing the book was I got engaged and I was like, okay, I got the one. You know what I mean? I was in love for the first time in my life. And we broke up. Whatever the reasons are, I was in pain. I cried for 2 weeks. And then, as they say, anger comes and all that stuff, acceptance. And I woke up in the morning and there was a voice in my head and I seen it all the way through inside of my head and said, sounds of sorry, not of command. You'll never hear those words ever again. And that was one of my poems. And I started writing and writing, listening, seeing and writing. And that opened up a portal. And I just kept on writing.
Yeah. And that's the key thing is that when we go through any type of loss, it doesn't matter if it's a death or something that changed so much in our lives. It takes time to really admit it happens and to look at all those forms of grief and going through the whole process. And it's exhausting.
It is exhausting. And it never comes in what they say, first you're going to go through crying and then you're going to go through anger and then you're going to go, it never comes in those forms. It comes in different forms throughout your life or throughout the months and years. And it is about loss. And a lot of people have lost. A lot of people are hurting out there for one reason or another. They don't get to talk about it. The men, heavy-set men, it breaks my heart. They're not allowed to cry. They're not allowed to talk about that I'm heavy. And they brush like, I'm just a big guy. People are in pain.
Ben, as you were writing these pieces over the years, did you feel like you were telling a story or more was it like you were just trying to survive one moment at a time?
Combination of both. When I write, like I probably could recite a poem right now, but when I write, what was the question again? I'm sorry, I just lost my train.
No, that's okay. No, you're on the right track. Is basically, So basically when you're writing these pieces over the years, was it more like telling a story or was it more like you were just trying to survive one moment at a time?
Trying to survive one moment at a time. It was a release and plot God, the universe. And I just wrote, and some of them were about God and gratefulness and forgiving. And some of them were just about core hurting, pain, longing to be loved, wanting to be touched. Just all my life, I thought something's wrong. Something's not right. And I couldn't figure it out. And through these poems, I just started releasing and I started becoming who I am. I'm self-confident and loving and it's a different person.
Absolutely. It's a definite different person. And I honestly think by writing this book, you're finally making closure. I think that it's better than talking to a therapist and one time you're writing it. Yes, you're going to have to edit it. Yes, you're going to send it to editors. but
Right.
ultimately it's a final close versus going back week after week and telling your pain to a therapist or telling your
Right.
pain to loved ones.
Yes. 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 I agree with you.
Because the biggest hard thing is when we have our emotions, how do we release those emotions? How do we tell ourselves it's okay to be sad? It's okay to be angry. It's okay to hate the world for a second. However, how do we go through that? And it depends on so many people. And do we live through this moment every day of our lives after what happened? Or do we learn to finally heal? And I think you choosing to write a book makes it much easier in a healing process than reliving it every day. But now going through the interview process, you're reliving it again. So that's the other part. So you have to look
Well,
at it.
excuse me, one thing, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but one thing I didn't tell you is that a lot of the hurt come from a 5-year-old losing his mom. That was a lot of that came from that too. That was also part of it. Rob, something's going on here. So sorry about that. Yeah, just going through it and now on the other side. And every once in a while I have bad days too. Some days I'm like, I'm going through it again. And I'm like, oh man.
You can have the greatest life in the world. However, there is some pain happening. I don't care who you are. I don't care what your responsibility in life is. I don't care anything. And I think that we need to finally work with mental health to understand it's okay to deal. Our mental health system's totally screwed up. And we look at it as a weakness versus understanding if we can become resilient. And I heard resilient when I introduced you, so I can't wait to go further into this. So this book doesn't read like a traditional memoir. It feels raw. You're feeling raw in this interview, emotional and very immediate. Why did poetry feel like the right way to tell this story instead of prose? And I almost can answer that question for you, but go ahead.
You're answering questions and I'm answering at the same time. Oh, that was a good question. So how do I answer this? Why was it raw? And what I was going through is Neil, I just was going through it. And each poem had a different story to it. And it just kept on releasing and becoming, letting go. But still, like you said, mental illness, it rears its ugly head. And we have this message that keeps on hitting us all our life. Being fat, you're not going to be loved. Being fat, who's going to love you? Who's going to love a fat man? Nobody's going to love you. Nobody's going to love you. And it's just breaking through that.
And why do we look when we really don't have, but only we have some of our family and we have some of our friends, but why do we really care about this except are we truly feeling happy in life? And I think that's a mistake we're making. Yes, we are striving for something great. We have to understand there's going to be a lot of pain in the road. We're taking a lot of sacrifice to be great. If we are going through something very difficult in our lives, we have to understand how can we make ourselves happy? Because I see so many people living in their lives and I feel so bad for them that don't love their life, don't love themselves. And it's because of other people and other circumstances that keeps them from greatness. And for you to go out and write this book and to put yourself out there like that, you have to be absolutely commended in so many ways, because you're going to help a lot of overweight people say, I too can get out there, like our guest today. So a lot of book reaches back into childhood and early pain.
Yes.
When you look back now, and you talked about this before, what do you wish that younger version of you had been told or protected from?
Let me think for a second. Younger version of me was to be able to comfort myself, be able to talk about it. It's a difficult question to answer because you're young and you have those aha moments as you get older. And like someone to hold you and say, it's okay. Someone says, I got you. Whatever it is, whatever you say, I got you. Tell me everything. And when my mom lost my mom, nobody had therapy back then. Nobody knew what to do. My father had 5 kids. And what they did was, who went to this aunt or who went to this uncle? And here you are, this lost kid. I'll never forget this. I was in the closet, and all my life, when I would feel the pain of my mother's loss, I put my hand over my ear and I would do this. And I never figured out why. It was a comfort. And when I found out from my sister, she says, Ben, she goes, I was the one who's doing that for you. Because I was hugging you and holding your ear and saying, it'll be okay, it'll be okay, it'll be okay. So to answer that question, for family dynamics to have more closeness, to make the kids feel secure and protected, but not only just physically protected, emotionally protected.
Yeah. And like I said, there's a story to all this, but I'm so glad that you're sharing there's pain. I would love to look at humanity and look at everyone and look at what makes them get up every day and what causes the most pain for people. And why does that cause pain? If I would have known 20 years ago what I truly wanted to do and what I wanted to live and wanted to do, I probably would have made different decisions at that time. I probably would have said enough is enough very early. I'm not going to listen to the outside world telling me it's okay to suffer. It's okay to be in pain. It's okay, which leads to pain, loneliness, health problems. Instead of, it's not okay to be in a bad situation. It's not okay to be dealing with suffering.
Absolutely.
You need to get out of it, regardless, because there's only one you. And so this is making me share.
Going back to what you said was really profound as a little child. And I think that what I would want is to listen to that inner voice, to know when this is not right, that's not right, and stick up for yourself, to listen to yourself, the emotions and how you feel, and stick up for yourself, because kids are afraid to do that. But if you have a loving mom and dad and people that you're surrounded with, we both know that your family is great, but then your friends that come involved are even better because they don't know the history. And having a group of people that love you and are constantly saying, good job, Ben, you're great, keep going, that's important too in this vast society. And I think people like you and other people that are bringing it to the forefront is really important. And I happened to write this book, and as I was going, I realized that it is coming to the forefront and I have something to say, and I really want to help people. I would love to be able to help men and women. And my heart reeks, sorry, wrong word, but my heart just hurts during the course of the day and look at a heavy-set person. I know they're in pain. I know men are in pain.
Right. And they don't understand why.
And as a society, it's thin. You know what I mean? I mean, thank God it's changed a lot. You got big size and stuff like that. And people are, express themselves that they're loved and they should be loved and they deserve to be loved regardless of their size.
Wow. So love and touch come up again in your book. When you're writing, did you realize how much the pain was really about wanting to be seen, chosen, and loved? And this is what everyone wants. So if we're going to choose to be seen, chosen, and loved, is that enough for anyone, or should they think this should be enough for anybody, but somehow our human perspective makes we want more?
I think that we all want to be loved and we all want to be touched. And I say everything we do is for love. And touch is such an important, it's so important to touch because you feel loved and you have a connection with another human being. I don't think there's enough touch going on, enough hugs or just sitting beside somebody and just saying, you're okay.
Yeah. You are, even though you're the one still working through this, you're helping myself in this interview to reflect. This is the power of getting to interview 30 people a week, maybe, get to talk to a variety of walks of life, and to say, this is the thing, like, we are put on this earth for a reason, and how are we going to, and this is talk about faith and spirituality, are woven deeply into your writing. How did your relationship with God change through this journey?
Gotten deeper. Praying all the time, praying for people, just see somebody on the street and I just say, God, please take care of them, give them peace, love them. Through the course of the day, getting up and praying. regardless of who you believe in or what it may be, it's just getting up and praying to whatever you believe in, and it gives you power. And it tells you like everything's gonna be okay. Just let go. And the God thing with that book, my brother, and he said, Ben, there's something going on here. And of course, I was like, nah, what? But there was, and there is, because I speak about God in that book, and it's pretty intense.
And then looking at God and spirituality to understand that there is something in your life. So I think people need to walk around and see every human being out there and what they're going and doing and saying, we're very blessed to be where we're at compared to a lot of other people.
Yes.
And we have
we don't do that. We don't do that.
We have to have a great acts of great. No, that's okay. You can interrupt. That's not a problem. But my thought is, when I think about this, is when can I do my gratitude every day? I try to do it.
Yes.
As an entrepreneur, we strive for comparing ourselves to somebody else, right? And sometimes we do is we compare ourselves to where we were 6 months ago, or where we might have been on top a little further. And we don't look at the big picture of what we should be grateful for. Grateful for this journey, grateful for what we're doing and we're loving. Yes, we're not where we want to be yet, ultimately, if we have these high expectations for ourselves. However, we shouldn't be beating ourselves up, and we should be taking this time to be grateful for what we're at and what we're doing. And that's, I think I have to do more of that. And that's the hard part, because we just grind through the day, and then the next day comes.
It goes by fast. Oh, you broke up. Yeah, you broke up. I can't hear you.
What does forgiveness truly mean to you?
Okay, I heard the last part of that.
What does forgiveness truly mean to you?
Oh, wow. Forgive is a release. To forgive somebody, it's for you. It's just like forgiving and then forgiving yourself. Like you get angry or whatever it may be, then you just immediately just say, I'm sorry. Forgiving is a big deal. It's more for myself. And forgiving myself for beating myself up or saying harsh words, it just releases peace.
Yeah. And that's the point in forgiving people, not to let a grudge happen, or when something else happens, just move on. Let's go on to the next thing. There's not enough time in the day to argue with somebody, to get angry with somebody. Move on, go to the next thing. And sometimes I fail, but I fall short. And when I do, I have to tell myself, don't do that again. And it's because of stress and pressures. But what really pressures and stress do we have? Especially if we believe that we're going to survive, we believe that we're going to thrive, we're going to believe that anything. If we have belief, then we have a purpose. If we don't have any belief, we don't have any purpose at all. So what has been the most powerful response you received from people so far about your book?
I still have hundreds of poems, but when people read the book, like The Mother's Touch, and how can I explain the response? They're just like, that's so beautiful what you're doing with your words. People are lifted, and The Mother's Touch, I channel. Sometimes I channel, there was a gentleman I knew, his brother died, it was suicide, and I channeled his brother, and I was able to write a poem of love and coming from his brother. I help people, everybody just says it's beautiful. I don't know the other words. But just, and then the other part of me, the voice is, it's not that great. It's not that great. But what I've learned is it is, and I am able to help people, and it makes me feel good.
If 360 pounds of tears could serve one purpose beyond literature, what would you want it to be?
For people to love themselves more and let go of the pain and live life to the fullest. I always say, I have these sayings and I've coined a phrase that enjoy the moments of life.
Yeah.
Enjoy the moments of life.
So before we go to this final question, this is where I have the time to kind of jump into some more questions about you.
Sure.
This pain of this woman breaking up, how have you gotten over this yet?
It took me 10 years. And 2 years ago, we spoke on the phone, got our closure, and it was beautiful. It was very painful for a long time. I cried for 2 weeks straight, 3 weeks, went through so many different stages of hurt and anger, and just kept on writing and writing. And it all came out. Not particularly what happened with her, but in general, the whole part of my life and longing and loss and praying to God. I would get on my knees and say, God, please, God, let her call me. That's how much.
And how long were you with her?
Just about 2 years. I look at it and go, it was just two little kids. I believe that we're all just little kids inside and were told to do this and do that. But I believe it was just two little kids that fell in love. And then the isms of life just took over and just started ripping you apart. And it was a long time.
Did you end up finding somebody else?
No, I haven't. I'm open to it. I have a date, but I found somebody else. I found myself. I love myself.
That's the most important thing. You love yourself.
Yeah.
Because after my divorce, I did not love myself. And then it took time. Yeah. I mean, separation. Then it took time to finally love myself. Now the light bulb's on and there's no stopping me. And that's the important thing. And I think you found out in that relationship with the pain and sorrow and everything that you went through, that you got to find the right person to put that time into after you've loved yourself.
I'm so grateful for that relationship. Because what it taught me was like, I fell in love. I know what love is. I'm grateful for everything we've been through. And I want her to be happy. I wish her to be happy. She's in a relationship. I'm happy for her. I couldn't have said that 6-7 years ago because I love me now and take care of me. It was kind of weird, but see, typical guy. Yes, I just took over. Typical guy. It sounds a little weird, but it's true. It's true. And being vulnerable, even in this interview, is, I want to say, Neil, how much money do I owe you for this session?
No, it's interesting. One of my clients said, because I have a digital agency and I was talking to her about it, and she says, I need you for therapy right now, Neil. And it's because I've interviewed so many people. I've interviewed 20,000 people and I listen, and that's what's kept me, I guess, I chose to stay on air, but what kept me to grow and everything is my willingness to listen to people's answers, not just go to the next question. And you really have, and that's the key thing in this conversation, is that when we go through that specific pain, the pain and that love of that other person might have not been the thing you were needing. It might have been the inner child in you. It might have been all these different things you need to overcome to get through that point. And then you might find your soulmate. If you don't find your soulmate, I feel bad for you, but I think you can. And I don't think you should give up.
I know, but she's out there waiting.
And I think you should work. So we've talked this is not a memoir, but in your story of basically going through this, but what do you do for a living?
Oh, I do a number of things. I'm an entrepreneur. I own a painting and construction company here locally, and I do real estate investments, buy properties, and my brother and I are involved in some other entrepreneurial projects.
No, we're going to have to stay connected. That's for sure. Especially with my business I'm doing in Florida. I'll have to talk to your publicist if that's okay, because it's not going to be anything about marketing your book, but more my focus would be, let's connect business people together, because you never know what's going to happen. And that's fantastic that you, at least in your struggles and your life, you have been successful. Everyone needs love, especially if they feel can't love themselves. They attach to somebody and think that's the only person they need in their life.
Yes.
But if you don't truly love yourself, you're not going to attract the right people. You're not going to attract the right people, even in your clients, in your business, because you're going to attract the wrong people because you truly don't love yourself. It's the magnetism that we bring, how we're magnetic when we talk and deal with people.
Yes. It's so true. When you love yourself, it's all of a sudden, it's like people are drawn to you, and it's amazing. I had a point. You said something earlier, and I wanted to bring up a point.
Go ahead. Sure. Go ahead. Go do it.
I'm trying to think of it now. I just forgot it. You were talking about
the business. I talked about connections, but I'm not loving ourselves. That's the biggest thing you think about, Ben, is
filling the void. Yeah. Filling the void.
Yeah.
Filling the void from the pain of losing your mom. And after a while, you're like, I'm tired of telling this story. I'm telling this story. But you and I filled the void with food. I would go out and I go to 3 different McDonald's and I go to a pizza place and I would go to these 3 different McDonald's and because I didn't want them to think that I was ordering all that food for me. And then I go home and I'd binge and totally stuff myself, all my feelings. And then I'd feel like crap and then I'd binge more. And that was just a constant cycle. It's horrible, horrible.
Yeah,
and I know what people go through. I know the pain behind the doors, behind the closed doors.
Right. It's some sort of addiction, but then
Yes.
also then you choose that significant other when you're not healed and you're bringing them along with your pain. And that's not what a relationship can be. If you're going to bring all the pain and sorrow and suffering into the relationship and not be the strong person in that relationship, especially as a man, then you're not going to have a great relationship. A man needs to be the anchor in that relationship and to be loving themselves and truly be a leader in a lot of ways. That
Yes.
the woman brings the nurturing and all those things.
Yes,
The
yes.
man brings that confidence, that leadership, that killer
Protection.
attitude. But if you don't go into a relationship like that, it's meant to fail because you're
Yes.
not being what we're created to be as a man.
It's interesting because my ex, she's highly intelligent. And she said to me, you know what it is, Ben? After years, she goes, you were looking for a mom. And she says, you're looking for a mom. And I was going through empty nesting. That's how we came together, which was pretty interesting. But you're right. If we have 2 halves and they come together, eventually those halves are going to split apart. Unless you have 2 whole people that can talk to each other and love each other and get through things, then that's a great relationship.
In closing, if there's one message you'd like to share with your readers, listeners, and the millions of people who want to get your book, what message would it be and why?
Boy, Dale, you gave me some great questions. Let me think for a second. I think enjoy the moments of life, love yourself, get help that you may need, but it's all inside of us. All the love inside of us and taking care of ourselves is all there. And read my book.
Exactly. And
Understand.
best place, where's the best place you can go?
And my book?
Yeah, your book.
Oh, I don't.
Your website's author
website.
Ben
Yeah, it's
Colarossi.com, and that's COLAROSSI.com. So that's
Yes,
for people
thank
who need
you.
to check you out. We
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you
it.
so much.
Yeah, this is such a great conversation. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.